Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rates and Lanes podcast. I'm your host, Rico Muhammad. That's my co host right there, Mr. Chuck Snow. We are back at you guys again. We are pre recorded this evening. So I'm trying to say this evening, but it's actually Tuesday morning when we're recording this. So I got to tell my co host good morning.
Good morning and good evening, listeners.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you guys and girls would do us a huge favor, please like, share, and subscribe to the video. Drop us a comment if you want. If you have anything that you would like to say or add to today's discussion, please by all means drop us a comment. That helps also with the engagement. Helps us get us out into a broader algorithm in the YouTube space. If you would, if you kindly would. If you know anyone that may benefit from this information, please share this information with them. Send it to them in a link or whatever. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for all that you already do for us. And with that being said, and without any really much further ado, Chuck, it's that time of year where it's starting to be, and I got to do a better job of this. I kind of got caught flat-footed this year, and I gotta do a better job of this, of trying to make sure I put these things on my calendar so that I can make sure that I make adjustments in my schedule to be able to go. What am I talking about? It's truck show season.
This is the start, and you know what? This is the granddaddy of them all. This is the Mid America Truck Show down in Louisville, Kentucky. We're talking about, and my God, these guys do. Other people have tried to take them out of the box and ended up flat on their face because these guys, they do a pretty darn good job overall. Been doing it for over 50 years. So they got the bugs certainly worked out of it after 50 years. They do a great job. And they have, I got to tell you, one thing besides for the trucks they have here and what's available in the industry, the technology and all sorts of things that are available. One of the other things is they've got speakers galore. And that's why we wanted to talk to everybody today about the show. When Rico and I were talking recently, I said, Rico, we got to do something about this show to just tell our listeners. And I'm hoping it's not too late that some of our listeners can still make it down. It starts on Thursday morning. Now unfortunately, and I've been arguing with them for years about this. They have a VIP morning, but they let pretty much a lot of people in under VIP. And then general public can get in after 1 o'clock. But if you've got a truck or you run a trucking company or you're a dispatcher, they'd certainly let you in under a VIP title. And then they've got incredible speakers lined up on Thursday, Friday, and I'm sure into Saturday. Usually by Saturday, as somebody that's not exhibiting this year for the first time in several years, because I was exhibiting for the last about 8 years for Traffics, my former company. I've got the freedom to walk the show again, which I'm really looking forward to. Something that I want to share this with our listeners. I had said to Rico last week, we got to do something on the show, and we were planning on doing it, and we were thinking of who we could bring on, and then lo and behold, on Saturday night, I was doing some work around my house, and I was listening to Sirius XM on my just on my app, and it was a rerun from the day before, or maybe 2 days before, and I think it was Mark Willis had a guest on, and I had never heard of this gentleman. His name was Harry Hall, and he is a professional speaker and fascinating guy. And he was talking about the truck show and how to work the truck show. Well, this was music to my ears, so I reached out to him right away to see if see if we possibly could get him on here for today's show. And unfortunately, I haven't heard back from him, but he was generous enough to give SiriusXM a bunch of things to put on their website, which we have taken legally, and we will present it to you and we'll talk about them on how to get the best out of this show. Because I have to tell you, you walk into this show, it's very unlike most truck shows you've ever been to. Very unique in the fact its sheer size. Um, if you walk this show for 3 days, you won't. You you'll think you saw everything, but you won't. That's how big it is. Um, and then you've got lectures to attend because there's some of them. It doesn't matter what area of the business you're in. There's something for you. So you got to do your homework. If you go to this show, get out of your car, get out of your truck, walk in the building, and just start walking around. It's pretty much a waste of time. You have to study where you're going to go. We all have special interests. We have listeners I know that run cattle. We have others that run produce. We have others that are flatbed. We have others that don't run any assets whatsoever. They're strictly third party. There's regulatory issues being discussed in there. You've got people from FMCSA that are there. Our friends, three of our guests. There's Hank Seaton is going to be speaking. Tommy Rook is going to be speaking. Rick Gobble is going to be speaking. Kevin Rutherford, who is the founder of the original Rates and Lanes, him and Rico were the original founders. He is going to be speaking. That's just one of the many people from FMCA, CSA will be speaking. There will be all sorts of people speaking, and they're going to be talking about all sorts of things, uh, from finance to parking to upcoming legislation. So you really need to study the program, and you can get it online for Matt's what's available. But Harry was kind enough to leave listeners um, with some information on how to work the show to the best, so you get the most out of it. Because you're taking time away from what you do, driving a truck or operating a fleet of trucks, or operating a brokerage firm, or whatever, or even operating a repair shop or a parts shop. You're taking time away from doing that to go to this show. So the company, even if it's your company, is paying you for that time. So you really want to get the most out of it, and you want to go home from that show with the most information you can. Then you've got the most value. If it's just to go out there and meet potential suppliers, what sort of suppliers do you need? Find out where your suppliers are. They do a really good job at cataloging all their all their exhibitors. So you just, when you get there, take a half hour or do it beforehand if you can. You can go online. You should be able to see who's going to be there, or at least who the speakers are. You'll be able to see that and see if there's what speakers you want to listen to, and then judge your time around that.
Well, one thing that I definitely, I got the link up for Harry's website right there. It's actually that hyperlink should take you directly to the Trucker Show tips that is on his website.
Right.
So hopefully, if you guys take that link and click it, it'll take you directly to what it is that we're going to discuss.
Can
And
you
I'm gonna
put
I'm
the
gonna
link?
put it up. I'm gonna put it. The link is right there,
Right. Yeah.
directly to the website. I'm gonna also put the website up here in just a second so that we he got some pretty very well thought out tips on how to work the show, which is definitely important because one thing that definitely you got to have a plan, and you don't want to just get caught up in the excitement of, oh wow, I'm at the truck show and it's a lot of as we always as plenty of you have always heard, you got distracted by the shiny object, and I'm at the truck show. There's plenty of shiny objects from all of the different things that may be out on the floor, as far as the manufacturers may have out there, or some new technology and all that, and that's great to be able to partake in some of that, but to kind of help keep your focus on what it is that you so that you can get the most out of the show. Out of and this just not for any. This is not just for strictly for the truck show. From my standpoint, I think this is a good thing to implement anytime you're going to any type of an event where there's a lot of stuff that may be going on, just to kind of have have your game plan well thought out, and so that you can kind of keep your focus on what the number one purpose of what it is you're trying to accomplish while you're there. So with that being said,
Exactly. You know what,
let me
Rico, you just said it perfectly, because I can't tell you how overwhelming this show is to just go and walk around if you don't have an idea why you're there.
absolutely, absolutely. So let me click here and
Excuse me.
let's see if I can get it to pop up.
There it is.
There we go. So this is how Harry's website looks, and it's the link that I put up. This is going to take you directly to here, and we're just going to go over these bullet points really quickly, and then expound upon them a little bit more. So tip number one: before you go, determine your need. That's what we were just talking about. What is it that
Yes.
you're trying to accomplish from going to the show? So Harry has here, knowing this is critical. If you go to Mid America Truck Show without focusing on your top priority, it's highly unlikely you will maximize your experience. What are your greatest needs? Make sure your rig lasts longer. Concerned about new fuel regulations? What about technology? Make a list of 8 to 10 things and prioritize them, and focus on no more than three. Because definitely you don't want to become scatterbrained.
No, and you will waste your time there.
You don't want to become scatterbrained. So that's definitely anything that you would like to add to bullet point number one, Chuck.
No, I think Harry has done such a great job in putting this together that we had to share with our listeners.
Absolutely, absolutely. So moving on to point number two. Can you succinctly tell anyone what you do? This sometimes, to kind of, before we delve into it, this sometimes helps, as you probably may have heard or listened to. Do you have an elevator pitch, so to speak? Are you working on what it is to be able to convey to someone else what it is that you do? So let's see what he says here. Tell me about your business. Was all are asked that frequently that no that excuse me
Yeah.
was all are asked that frequently in nowhere is the more important than a trucker show. What do you do? What's unique about your business? How do others benefit from what you do? Condense all of your answers into no more than 30 seconds. Be consistent with it. Answering the question clearly and consistently will leave a positive impression on your trucker colleagues and will give you more confidence in yourself. So this is what sometimes has been dubbed as, do you have an elevator pitch? And that's being able, pretty much what he says here, being able to consistently convey what it is that you do, being able to say, make sure that you hit the highlights and the bullet points of what it is that you do within your business. For instance, if you are a flatbed carrier, or if you are a truck broker or whatever, making sure that you hit the highlight points of what it is that you offer to the marketplace. Being able to convey that in a real concise manner, and consistently convey that time and time again. So it may sound, um, as they say sometimes, canned. You want to be able to can it, but you don't want to sound like you're canned. What does can mean? You maybe have a memorized, like I say, the elevator speech. Kind of have it memorized, because the old saying is, if you get on the elevator with a CEO with your perfect, your avatar of a company, or the perfect customer, you're on the elevator with them. You got, from the time you're going from either the bottom to the top, or the top to the bottom,
So true.
to convey that over to the person that you're your perfect customer. So can you get that within that time frame? Can you get what it is that you need to get across for them to be able to know about you and your business?
Rico, if I can add something to that, if that's
Sure.
okay. What I have found, I know that there's a real push against them now, but I am still, maybe it's because of my age, but I'm a real believer in business cards. Um, it gives somebody, even if it's 10% of what you give out, and I don't care what business you're in, it gives somebody something to take home. And if you have a unique business card, That really stands out. And what I do when I work a trade show, whether I'm working it for um, just for I used to go to trade shows to drum up business and meet potential customers, but I always was organized and I had one special pocket to put all of my business cards in. I have to apologize to our listeners. I'm in a hotel lobby and there is some background noise, so I do apologize. Um, but I would have one pocket where I would keep my business cards separate, um, that I could hand out for my own business cards. The ones I receive, I had in another special pocket. And I always, and if it was a real special business card, like somebody I had to get in touch with as soon as I got home because they had a need or I had a need, they may have had a service that we wanted to use and I really needed it, I would have a special pocket for hot cards. And the other thing I can suggest when you're taking cards, put them in such a way so the last card goes in. The last card you take goes in at the back. Okay, and that way, uh, when it quite often you'll be walking away from a booth and the person that was at that booth will say, "Oh, hold on, Rico, don't go. I gave you a card, but I want to give you an extension for that card, or I've got another name I want you to write on that card." You don't want to pull out 500 cards. That doesn't, not really good optics. But when you pull out their card, and all of a sudden they feel special, they feel you have paid attention to them. That's really important.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure. I'm trying to see if I can get this window to kind of
Okay.
um, pop back in. Let's see here.
And ladies and gentlemen, if by chance you're not fortunate enough to make it to Matt's this year, we have a year until the next one. It's an annual show, has been for decades, for 50 years since COVID. But if you can't make it to this year's for whatever reason, you got a whole year to plan it for next year. So make plans to go next year. It's well worth it, even if you go once every 2 years, because there's an expense in going, of course. Whether and I have to tell you, Louisville is a hellhole to fly into. Coming up from Ontario, Canada, it's much faster to drive to Louisville than it ever is to fly. So it's not a great airport.
Well, I think when you get spoiled if you got a good airport in your home area. That's one thing about Atlanta. We have the world's busiest airport, but it's, I tell you what, compared to other airports, I'll take Atlanta over a bunch of different airports any day of the week. Um, going back to the list that Harry put out, and this is a very important one. You definitely check out the floor plan. The floor plan. Where are the vendors you most like to meet?
Right.
Where are they? Determine the most likely, the ones that fall within your priorities, and make sure you visit them first. Greet them, tell them what you sought them out for, and tell them about yourself and your business. You never know where the conversation might lead to.
Yeah. You know what? Sometimes you'll go to see one of a supplier of trailers, and and you'll tell them what you're doing, and they'll go, "Geez, that's really interesting." I've got another customer very similar to you, almost a parallel business. Unfortunately, there's been some problems in the family, and they're thinking of selling out, and there may be an opportunity for you to buy a company that you hear through a potential supplier. You never know, but you'll never you'll never find out if you don't put yourself out there. And that's one thing in this market right now. A lot of people are afraid, and with good reason, to spend a nickel um, to come to a show like this. Because things aren't going well in the trucking business. There's not a lot of money. There's a lot of red ink being spilled. But you know what? You go to these things, and sometimes you pick things up that you bring back home, and they can help your business. Because if you're running an asset-based trucking company right now, chances are you are you're suffering from from a challenging time. and so are a lot of other people. And there may be a guest speaker out there that you're going to hear at Matt's that can tell you how to get around some of these challenges.
Well, you're delving into, you're hitting all the different points on the list, Chuck.
Sorry about that.
Let's take them in order. So
Okay.
the important thing about this particular one, checking out the floor plan, because this is definitely the reason why you want to make sure. And there may even be, I'm not sure, so I may be speaking ahead of myself, but I'm pretty sure that I'm feel confident that Matt's is kind of a big enough show that they may have an app that you can download on you to your phone, because a lot of times a lot of these trade shows will have apps uh, just particularly for the show. So double check if you're going to Matt's, double check and see if they have that available, and they may have the floor plan right there on the app. So and this goes back, all of this ties right back into determining your needs and going back for, it says checking out the floor plan and determining your needs. Those kind of go hand in hand. And the reason
Right.
that I say that is because you want to be able to, like he's laid out in under the step. If there are particular people that you definitely want to see, if there's a definite vendor that you want to see, you can need to know exactly where they are within the exposition center, because that's a pretty big place, and
Oh,
that
it's
thing
huge.
that thing gets spread out. So if you don't know or understand the floor plan, you could very easily, they may be in that particular vendor that you're looking for may be in the far wing somewhere tucked off in a corner, and you may not, if you didn't know exactly where they were, you may have nothing that even takes you into that part of the venue or whatever. So knowing the floor plan to be able to seek out the people that you definitely want to be able to see is definitely a critical part, and goes hand in hand with point number one about before you go determining your needs. So making sure that you have that floor plan is critical with going along with point number one.
Rico, I've got to just tell you and the listeners, I want to share a funny story about that one. Um, I was at that show many years ago, and at that time, I was trying to get into Amazon, and we had just branched into, we had just opened up our first office in Chicago, and I was trying to get into Amazon. And of course, if you back then, it's gotten a little bit easier now, but back then it was next to impossible. It was like getting into Fort Knox. You couldn't, you just couldn't make any headway, and I wasn't making any. But I really wanted them as a customer because I knew they had huge freight volume, and they were nothing then. This goes back about 8 years ago. Um, they were nothing then compared to how behemoth they have become. And I was at the show, and I didn't have a booth that year. I was just walking the floor, and I had walked it, seen everything that I wanted to see, had gone to a lecture on something, and it was Friday afternoon, and my plane wasn't leaving till later, and I figured, well, the company pays me to do this, so I'm going to walk around. I'm going to walk the show again, and I started walking the show, and behind a Hyundai trailer was a piano bench with a chair, and there was a sign that said Amazon. And I stopped, and there was a young woman there, and I said, Amazon sells Hyundai trailers now? And she said, no, no. And she laughed. She says, it's kind of a booth we have here, uh, a makeshift booth. And I said, oh, I've been trying to get hold of you guys for months. She said, where are you from? And I said, Canada. She says, oh my God, I've been looking for somebody from Canada. She said, give me your card. So I gave her my card, and I said, well, can I get one of yours? She says, we don't have them. I go, okay. I was about to give her lecture 308 on not having business cards, but I decided that moment I would shut my old mouth. And I didn't say a word. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, the phone rings. It's her. And she said, I'm putting you in touch with somebody right now that for Canada. So she put me in touch with somebody that was actually in Chicago. He was right next door to our office in Chicago. And And I spoke to the person, and he had something coming to Canada, and he was all perplexed about it. And I fixed it, got it going for him. And then he said, "Well, come on down here." So I went down and had a meeting. And then I became, for that office, their go to guy for weird emergencies. When somebody else messed up, they called me. And it was just it was one of the most fun things I ever did in my life in the brokerage business, because nothing was the same twice, and it was always weird stuff. Where, I remember one I had to, because these are a bunch of young people in offices that couldn't handle the weird stuff. They had a truckload of converter dollies for A trains sitting on a trailer that had to be offloaded, and they had no way of getting them offloaded in a parking lot. And they had to be taken from, I think, Tennessee to Wisconsin, and then offloaded in a parking lot. And of course, you just get a heavy wrecker in to take those off. And you know what? I got it done, and that even elevated me further. And we got in because of that. So, it's things like that, and you never know. You go to these shows, and that's why I insist people have business cards, because you never know who you're going to meet.
Absolutely, absolutely. So going back, finishing up. Point number 4: determine your top 3 needs. This is more focused than step number 1, which is an overall evaluation of your business model. They can all be related, but may not be. After
Yeah.
checking the floor plan and the speaker schedule, figure out who can best solve these needs. Then determine where you should go and how you should approach these folks. What do you want to say? Are you behind in an area? Do you know how to catch up? Have you struggled with problems regarding a certain issue, such as hiring, and you can't seem to resolve that issue? Um, so this is a very important point, very pertinent point as well. Um, what it's saying here is, and I'm trying to bring it back up, but I'm not having the success that I would like to have. Let's see here. Let's try to get back here. Yeah, that's not working out. So I'm definitely still at the bottom of the page. We still have the link there, and we're going to continue to read off of. But staying on point here, staying on task on point number 4, determining your top 3 needs. Sitting back and making out a determining what it is, because like you were saying, at Matt's and at any other show, any kind of trade show, sometimes you're going to have speakers and different things that may overlap. So
Right.
you have to determine what it is that you're going there for, and who do you think can best help present something that you are having an issue with, or something that you want to learn about, so that you make sure that you kind of got your schedule highlighted, so that you make sure that you get to see the presenters and the people that it is that you're actually there for. Going back to that point, having your game plan together, because if you don't, you can easily get caught up, and it probably would serve you well. These many computers that we walk around with, um, making sure that you set an alarm on those, so that you got timing, so that you don't get caught up. Because sometimes if you get a really good speaker, such as Chuck or somebody like that, you may get mesmerized and lose track of time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and you can easily miss something that you went that you definitely wanted to go see. So that's one way of setting an alarm, to make sure that you got your schedule kind of plotted out when you're at the show, to make sure that you hit the speakers and see the things that you definitely are there to go see. Anything you would like to add to that point, as far as making
No,
sure
just,
you're
you know
focused on
what?
those
You've
top
got
three?
Rico, you've got a finite amount of minutes to spend at this show, really. And you've got a finite amount of seconds to spend at every booth. So, you know what? If you're, someone like you who never sees a lot of snow, there's no sense you stopping at a booth that sells chains for tires
Right.
for winter time, because you've never, in what you do now, you don't ever have to put on a set of chains. Um, it's things like that. So just concentrate on the areas that are going to benefit your business, especially now, because you're going there. If you're going to go to this show this year or next year, you're investing the money in your business to go there. So you need to, when you invest, it's no different than investing in a bond or a stock or a piece of real estate. When we invest, we need a return on that investment. Now, you're investing time, you're investing a lot of money, and you are taking your eye off the prize, which is, sitting behind the wheel of your truck or dispatching trucks or whatever you're doing, and you're moving away from that for a couple of days to go and do this. So you got to make sure you come home with the prize. And this is a wonderful place to go. And if you're looking for a new technology, whether it's an ELD, whether it's an operating system for your company, no matter what it is, be careful. There's a lot of stuff there that's being sold that is going to get you better fuel mileage. Buyer beware on that one. Okay.
Yeah, well, Chuck, you're taking us right into point number 5. What top 3 vendors, products, and services most intrigue you? So
Bingo.
the list kind of goes hand in hand, and definitely, like I said, if you don't, sometimes some of the stuff may sound redundant, ladies and gentlemen, but definitely if you don't have, and sometimes redundancy is a good thing, because what do they say? Processes. That's the word that I'm looking for. Sometimes you need to have a process, and the process. This is the truck show process that that Harry has kind of very well laid out here, and that we're discussing here. And one thing, it goes hand in hand, and it's like a very fine dance or walk that you want to be able to, so that you can make the most out of your experience and get the most value out of the experience of taking time to go to the truck show. Because like Chuck was just talking about, times are a little bit tough on everybody. And sometimes it may be difficult to kind of justify, man, shutting down the business. If you are one truck Charlie, one truck, shutting down the business. So I'm going to shut down my income producing to go look at something that's not necessarily, I gotta have to spend money, and it may not necessarily produce money right away. But this is an investment. And that's the way that you have to view it. This is an investment, not only into the business but yourself. And at the end of the day, also it's a business expense, so it can be tax deductible. You can write it off on your taxes. Just talk to your mileage may vary. Talk to your CPA or your tax professional.
You know, it's funny, but sometimes it's no different, Rico, than if somebody said, Rico, I want you to spend $3,500 and do this upgrade on your truck. If we do this and this, we're going to save you about $12,000 a year in fuel. Would you do it?
Absolutely.
Well, this is
But
no
you
different. If you go to these shows and you go with the right agenda, um, you will come back with something, whether it's something you learned attending one of the lectures, whether it is someone you met, whether it's a product or service, you'll come back ahead of the game. Um, you never know who you're going to meet at these shows. Could be a potential customer.
right. And going back to the list, point number 6, who is it that you would like to meet? We kind of touched on this as well, but there are opportunities here at any type of trade show where there may be someone in particular, some may be famous, or someone that you maybe admired from afar, and they may be there. This is an opportunity to actually be able to get a chance to rub shoulders and hobnob a little bit, as they say,
Yeah.
and introduce yourself, and also get a chance to maybe pick their brain from a specific standpoint, or a specific question that it is that you have, or a problem that you may have that they may have uh, a solution to help you resolve. So
Yeah.
definitely making sure that you understand who's on the docket, as far as, because usually at these events, a lot of times, Chuck mentioned the people that, some of the people that are going to be there, but a lot of times FMCSA is there. If you got questions about different regulations that may be coming down the pike, someone that is actually there that can maybe go into a little bit more, take something a little bit deeper that you wanted to go into. This is a chance for you to be able to go ahead and maybe get an opportunity to meet them directly and ask a specific question directly to what it is that you have
Yeah,
a need to
you
get
know,
an answer for.
you can come back with some great information that, we all spend a fortune on tires. Maybe you're going to learn something or buy something or something that's going to save you on tires. This is the place to do it. Tires, maintenance, all these things are, who knows? You may see a type of trailer where all of a sudden you can put more payload on. There's all sorts of things to see.
And kind of moving, I don't want to. I want to try to make sure we try to get through the list. Point number 7 is check out the speakers beforehand and see what topics most appeal to you. Some things that some speakers that may be on the docket, you may not have any interest whatsoever in, may not be important to you, may not bring any value to what type of operation that it is. So that way, that's a process of elimination. Sometimes, and like we talked about before, about setting the timer on your phone.
Yeah.
That gives you the opportunity. Okay, well, I don't necessarily have to go hear what they're talking about because that doesn't really apply to me, and that may give you an opportunity to spend more time on the targeted things that you have on your list. So, and why is this on the list? Why is this even on here? Because that gives you the allotment to be able to carve out that little piece of time so that you can do, make all the bullet points that you got specifically for you, gives you a extra little block of time so that you can focus on that. So for instance, when we talked about knowing the outlay or the knowing what the map of the venue is like. Well, if that vendor that you want to see or someone is off way on the west wing and you're on the east wing, well, that time period where that person is speaking, what it may present the opportunity for you to be able to take right then and say, okay, well, now I can go over there on that side of the building and get a chance to spend some time over there to see what it is that vendor or someone over there that has that you wanted to see. That may present the opportunity for you to be able to do that.
Yeah, so true. And all we have to do is in our business, we sell time. That's all we do. Doesn't matter what business you're in. You are selling your time. So get the most out of it. And I'll just warn our listeners something you got to be aware of at trade shows. And I had this even selling. You'll get a really, really good salesperson, and they'll want you in their booth. They will keep you in their booth as
Hold your
long.
hostage.
Well, and the reason is because they know if they've got you in their booth, somebody else is going to stop because people like to stop where other people are,
Right.
and they will use you as bait. Okay, so that's where I love your 30-second or 60-second timer. Set it. I used to actually allow myself maximum, unless something, unless it was a real customer, 60 seconds maximum at the very most to be in a booth. And what I wanted to do in that 60 seconds was, and this is when I was selling, was go into a booth, get a business card, get the name of the logistics manager and his extension number. Now, these days, it is next to impossible to do that because most shows you have to sign a waiver when you walk in that there's no soliciting. And they will kick you out and they will ban you for that show for life. And some of them will even threaten you with trespassing if you solicit. So you got to be real careful doing that if you're selling services. But if you're a carrier and you go to this show, you may meet a broker you want to do business with. Well, you know what? Give that broker a hell of a lot more than 30 seconds if you want to do business with them.
Chuck, you skipping ahead on me. Are you skipping ahead on me? Because you're going right into point number 8. Make new connections.
Sorry about that, bud.
So on Harry's list here, it says point number 8, make new connections. And this kind of, Chuck has kind of already touched on it, but you're making those new connections. He touched on it a little bit earlier with the business card aspect as well.
Rico, I'm going to move to the other side. I'm keep talking. I'm going to move to the other side of this building because they've got all sorts of sweepers and stuff going in a business area. keep talking, and I'm just going to move. Okay.
All right,
Thank
let me
you.
know when you come. I'll
Thank
see you
you.
when you pop back up. I'll take it. I'll take the guy from here. So making those new connections. Chuck talked about this a little bit earlier. Making sure you have those business cards and things of that nature. When you go into a show, you definitely want to be able to have something to exchange. With so much technology, I know that one of the in vogue things now is you can just send your contact on off of your phone to someone and directly kind of put your phone on theirs and be able to get their contact information. Um, and I'm trying to check and make sure see if Chuck is ready to come back in. Um, let's see here.
Hotel
Okay,
lobby.
are you ready,
I'm
Chuck?
good. I'm
Okay.
good. I'm back.
I just wanted to make sure, but so we were talking about those business cards and talking about being able to exchange information.
Yeah.
A lot of times, I know technology. You can share your contact off of your card. If you don't, if you happen, I'm going to say this part. You want to have your business card. You want to definitely make sure that you have your business card with you. You want to be able to make sure that you got some of those. If not, or if you happen to forget them, or if you handed out all your business cards on your phone, make sure you're utilizing the technology that you got as well, because there on your phone you can create a card, your
Yes.
contact card right there on your phone, to be able to send directly to somebody else's phone. And if you do that, then you definitely know that you're in that phone book.
Rico, a guy, I have to tell you, it's not a bad thing, but I met a guy last year when I was at the show, a young fella from Chicago, and I said, well, give me your card. And he had 400 trucks that I don't know how he made out. They had started out during the pandemic, and they were up to 400 trucks. And I said to him, give me your card. He says, no, I don't have cards. I'm a modern guy. I use my phone. I'll give you. So he did something and he showed me his thing and I took a picture, but I couldn't find it. And I got a call the next day from the office. There was an opportunity for a customer where I couldn't use all 400 of his trucks, of course, but I could have used them and couldn't find them. So it goes, had he given me a card, I would have had it and he would have got that business. And going back to cards, when I was leaving Toronto yesterday morning, I went to get my cards and I was positive I had put my cards in with my rates and lanes flyers that I had given out last year. And what had happened was I went to where the flyers were and my cards, I didn't have any. I had taken them all stupidly and I'd given them out through the year. While I was at the airport, I called my printer that I had used last year in Louisville and he didn't do my business cards. He did the flyers and sent him a photograph from my phone of my business cards for rates and lanes. And by the time I got off my plane in Orlando, I had the proof. The cards will be ready tomorrow afternoon, and I will have my business card. So, and mine are a little bit, it's got our logo on it and everything. So it doesn't take long to get business cards. And I can't tell you how strongly I recommend having them if you're going to one of these shows, even if you're going as a buyer.
Well, and here's something to follow up on the point that you made. Well, I want to come back. Well, let's do it now. Jump
Okay.
around a little bit on the list. Point number 11, the very last point on the list. Harry says here, and this would have helped that gentleman out that you said that go along with your story. Follow up with another connection. So if you made connections at a trade show, anything of that nature, and it's definitely a good habit to do. I used to do this when I used to apply for jobs when I was before I was started my own business. When I applied for jobs and things of that nature, and this was before a lot of this stuff. I mean, we talking 15 years ago. I would always get the email of the person that was interviewing me, and I would just follow up and send my appreciation, thanks for interviewing me, so on and so forth. And that's a great way to kind of if you've met someone and you didn't, if the gentleman didn't have his business a physical business card to hand to Chuck at the time, but he shared his information with Chuck. But if he
Yep.
would have took a step further on following up with Chuck and sent him to something to jog his memory, and sent maybe Chuck an email or something a week after the show, something like that, that would have helped to kind of be, oh, Chuck was like, oh, well, there that guy is. That's the guy that I met that could have that would have been perfect for this customer, and so on and so forth. So those little things that help when you meet the connection with someone, and if it's definitely someone that you, like Chuck said, that you think that you may be able to develop a relationship with, or be able to go further down the road with, you definitely want to make note of those contacts and those people that you meet and follow up with them
As soon as you,
after the show or after.
100%, as soon as you get home, be disciplined. And as soon as you get home, get on your computer or get on the phone, or however you do it, or write a nice handwritten note even, and and just say, well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. It goes a long way. That's how you close the deal.
And these are things that can help you out, even with going with direct sales. When you're meeting someone, and you maybe had a sales presentation or whatever, following up the follow-up, and these are things that can be done after business hours. These are things that can be done when
100%.
you're not in the heat of doing things that you have to do for the day-to-day operations. These are things that can be done after business hours, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, if you ain't doing nothing else but sitting around eating Cheetos, watching TV, or
You
this
know,
is something that you could do to be more productive in your business, that's going to help you down the long run.
100%. And you know what? Don't waste your time during business hours sending out those emails,
Right.
because that's the day. If you are running your business, you're getting paid for your time, and you want to get the most out of that time. And sometimes after dinner, instead of sitting back on the easy chair and watching a rerun of a golf game or whatever whatever you do, discipline yourself and spend that hour sending out those emails, and you watch how your business takes off.
And
Because
one thing also that I want to make mention of is that you make sure that the what do they say, the magic is in the follow up. So you definitely want to make sure that you're doing the follow up, taking the time to do that. And if you're afraid that, well, I don't want to send nobody email, and they look at the email and see I sent it to them at 3 o'clock in the morning, they might think I'm some type of a weirdo. Here's a solution to that. With some of your technology and stuff like that, if you go to your emails, there are ways that you can manipulate to have your email set up. If you want to send it out at a specific time, there are ways that you can do that within the operating system of every email platform, where you can type the email out and you can have it send at a specific time, if that's something that you may be wondering in the back of your mind or something like that, if you thinking that somebody might think I'm a little bit weird. But then at the
Rico,
same
no,
time,
I
the thing
disagree
the
there.
thing that the thing that you might think may you may think that might make you look weird, might make you in the eyes of somebody else say, damn, this person's a go-getter. They sent me this
That's what I
email
think. If I got a thank you card from Rico from Crescent Carriers at 2 o'clock in the morning, I would not think for a second you're weird. I would think, my God, this guy's a hustler. He wants,
Absolutely.
if 2 o'clock in the morning he's thinking about me, it's one of two things. He either wants my business or something else.
So at the end of the day, don't think too. Don't make that be the be all end all. Don't make that determine whether or not you send the email or not. The hell with what, you know what I'm saying. The only opportunity is who's the, oh, I forget the guy. I want to give him credit for the quote. I remember where I heard it from. But if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time.
Yes.
I think
It's
it was Zig Ziglar. If you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. If you don't, so you got to have a target, and if you got to make sure that you pull the arrow out and you shoot the arrow regardless. And hey, you're aiming for something, and you may hit the bullseye, you may not, but hey, at least you
you
know what
know
I'm saying, you give
it's,
yourself an opportunity.
it's so true. If our listeners want to do something listen to something that's fun and educational. There is some great Zig Ziglar audio out there you can listen to while you're driving. You could be doing you walking, whatever. But if you're in the truck all day, especially, this stuff is so good. It's old. It's
Old and entertaining, but I tell you what, man.
you know what? Those guys of that era built. This is the guys that the Warren Buffetts went to. Okay. Um, these
I
are the
tell you
people.
what, we had Dan Baker on, and Dan is a great one. I
Yes.
need to see if I need to go back in the archive and see if I can find that audio of when we had Dan Baker on. And man, I tell you, now you talk about somebody that's got some sayings and different things. I know Dan. I'm not sure if I'm not. I don't even want to speculate on if Dan is still with. Hopefully, he's still with us. But Dan was a great one.
Yeah, I know for a fact he's no longer, I don't believe he's traveling anymore. Um, but I know that when we were at the Mats, or not Mats in Nashville at the
Nasty.
a NASTA convention. They brought him on through audio, and he was wonderful as always. He's an amazing guy, and we really you think of how humongous our industry is, and we need another Dan Baker. We need that. We need somebody spiritual and wise to lead us. That's got sensibility, especially today.
Right, right. Jumping back into the list and kind of rounding it up, we got two more points on the list. Take some time to reconnect. For most, this won't be their first trucking show, and if you've established some relationships, look into strengthening those and get updates on what's going on with their lives. If it's your first, listen to others and just engage in information and informal conversations. Definitely a great tip, great point. A lot of times, I think one of the things that Dan Baker said before too, and not only him, but a lot of people say, God gave you 2 ears, 2 eyes, and one mouth for a reason.
Yes.
Sometimes, go and introduce yourself, of course, and reconnect with people that you may already know, but don't spend most of your time uh, carrying the conversation, so to speak. A
No,
lot of
you're there.
times you are going to these trade shows and everything, and you don't never. I was taught never think that you're the smartest person in the room.
No.
Um,
You're going to the trade show to learn, not teach.
right, right. So even if I've had the benefit of going to shows and being a part of shows where I was teaching and I was a part of the speaker series or whatever. But even then, still be humble enough to understand that you don't know it all. and
No.
and and that's definitely the standpoint and the spirit that I try to come with at all times. I don't know, even right here on this show, I may get asked a question or somebody may ask me a question, and if I don't know, listen, there's no harm in saying I don't know, but I'll try my best to go and research it and find the answer for you or try to point you in the direction, which is what we do here. Try to point you in the direction of someone that does know or may be able to help. Um, but definitely it says take under that point of taking some time to reconnect, but definitely follow up and strengthen those relationships with people that you have seen over the years, or that that you may bump into, and just kind of reconnect, see what's going on with them. And like Chuck was saying earlier, you never know where a conversation may lead to. Chuck was just talking about the gentleman that didn't have the card and everything. But if you bump back into that person or whatever, that may be an opportunity. Okay, you may have missed out on this one, but if you have that conversation and you're reconnecting, then that gives you an opportunity for future opportunities that may present themselves, and that puts you back front of mind with something for somebody or somebody else. So you never
Yeah,
know where those
it's funny.
conversations can go to.
That young fellow didn't have business cards. He saved $100 by not having business cards because I think you can buy them for about 1,000 for $100. That $100 he saved probably cost him a $500,000 in business he could have done. So you tell me how much money he saved.
Absolutely.
And you know,
Absolutely.
I got to just add one more thing.
Go ahead.
You're going to a trade show. Look, don't get dressed up in your Sunday best, but look respectful. Okay, don't wear your dirtiest boots and your dirtiest shoes, and come on, guys, look the part. Don't go in short pants. Just go in dressed respectfully, business casual.
Well, that is, kind of goes back to before we get into the final point. Goes back into what we try to talk about here on the show. Um, I got to get ready to go out here in a little bit myself, and I got on my uniform today.
I see that. I got mine on too.
so I gotta go out today. I got my. It's just a plain, kind of like a Dickies button-up shirt. I got some polo shirts. I got some hoodies, but I have my logo on here for my company. Um, I try to look clean. I have on a pair of blue jeans, nothing special, but I got some pants the same color as the shirt and everything. Sometimes that I wear, I try to have somewhat of a uniform, so to speak.
Yep.
This may not necessarily be attire for a truck show, but you know what? If you go and have a nice button up, a nice polo or something done with your image on it, and you can put on some nice slacks, maybe even a sports coat or something like that. But this is something also an investment in marketing your business. This is marketing.
That's right.
In your business. So this gives you an opportunity to go in and you're looking clean, you're looking presentable. You're not all walking around with your slides and your flip flops on and stuff like that. That to me, that really, it's a little bit of a pet peeve. I mean, to each his own. I understand you're driving, you want to be comfortable, but at the same time, image is everything, and you only have
100%.
one time to make a first impression upon somebody.
Yep.
So you never know. Hey, I'm the owner of my company, but at the same time, if I hire employees, I'm going to expect them to show up to work the same way that I show up to work.
You have to set the example. Nobody else can.
So try to make sure your stuff is clean. Try to make sure this shouldn't have to go for our audience. I'm going to say this goes without saying, but for somebody that may get shared this video, make sure you take a bath and that you're clean, that you smell good, or you don't necessarily have to smell good, but at least make sure that you don't have body
Just
odor.
Don't smell bad.
You're not funky. You're not stinking. You're not walking around. Take pride in your appearance. Make sure that you especially at a truck show or something like that. I know you might have been working on the truck or whatever, but go make sure you got your fingernails are clean. You ain't got a bunch of oil or something sitting up underneath your nails. Because if you go to shake somebody's hand or something like that, you don't want to just be off-putting or nothing like that. Even though 100%. You may be a hard-working owner operator, so on and so forth, but still take pride in your appearance. Just like we talk about taking pride in your ride, your pride in your truck and everything like that. You got to also take pride in yourself.
Exactly.
So making sure that if you happen to have been out in the truck, if you drove to Louisville and you happen to been out there and you was doing a little work on the truck before you go in, go take some time and clean up before you go and interact with other people and stuff like that. Make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. Point number 10 to wrap it up, to get ready to wrap it up and get ready to get out of here on this point. Take some personal time. Take some personal time. This is different from reconnecting. You will likely see friends there. Take the opportunity to spend some time with old friends, catching up on what else is going on in their lives. So, maybe after the show, I know Chucky said he's going out to dinner with a few people that we definitely have on the show. But taking some time to reconnect, taking that personal time to spend time with people is always good investment. So that's point number 10 to wrap up the list here from Harry Hall. Once again, the link to Harry to the list is right there at the bottom of the page. You can go over there and click that link, print it out, take it with you, write it down, commit it to memory. Wrapping up, Chuck. Anything you want to add, Chuck?
Yeah, I want to thank you for running the show at this hour, and I want a big thanks to Harry Hall. I hope I get to meet you, man, and shake your hand. But thank you for the timely timely help that you gave me Saturday night to bring this to Rico's attention, and we could share it with our listeners. And I'll be at Matt's, and I'll see you around there. Look for a short, bald guy with probably have a blue sports jacket or a black vest on.
Sounds good. Well, Chuck, let everybody know, because we're right at that 1 hour mark.
Yeah,
Chuck,
I know. You can catch me.
Where they can get you.
Send me an email, Chuck Snow 280 at outlook.com. And if you put your phone number on the email, I will get back to you. I may be not able to get emails from about the 29th till about the 8th of August. I'm going to be on the other side of the world, but hopefully we'll still be doing the show. I don't know what the communication is like. Rico and I are going to work something out, but the show's still going to go on because it's showbiz. The show goes on. Rico, I want to thank you again for the time and everything you put into this show. As always, you do a great job, and we can back her in a hole for another week.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you guys. You are the most important part of the show. You, the listeners. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you took a little time to hang out with us, watch and listen. We're always eternally grateful for you doing so. So with that being said, we want to thank you. Once again, share, and subscribe. Stay safe out there, everybody. Stay healthy. Keep it in between the mustard and the mayonnaise, and we'll talk at you same time, same place next week. God bless you and good night.
Catch on the flip-flop. God bless.